we're at a moment where people have conflated elected officials with movement leaders, have conflated elections with movements. And those are two very different things. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to The Ride. You're on the mothership inside the Black Mama Magic Room with the greatest podcast on earth,
G-Po.
I am one of your co-hosts, Crystal Tennille Irby, mother of 4.
And I am Thea Monye, mother of 3.
And our third co-host, Nikisha Killings, cannot be with us today. So it's just the two of us.
But she got 4.
She has 4. Nikisha Killings, mother of 4. Today, we are going to be talking about Kamala Harris's book, 107 Days. Kamala Harris, the 2024 election, and Black Motherhood. Listen, we just gonna get through these church announcements because we got so much to say.
Yeah,
we're gonna have to feel our way through.
We got to feel our way through.
But we're gonna get to these church announcements because we have so much to say about this. You know, we're fresh off of our episode with reproductive justice, reproductive justice framework creator, and one of the founders of the reproductive justice movement, Loretta Ross, which was just a guest that had us in silence and in awe.
And that's hard to do.
And that's hard to do. I don't think we asked her 5 questions. We just let her have the floor. And so just taking all of that in, and then we were also listening to this on Audible, and I have the hard copy. So I don't know what to say. We're just going to dive in, but that's what we're talking about today, y'all. All right. So let's get it going. Okay. So this is a regular episode. We are going to do our responsive reading, ancestor quote, church announcements, praise reports, and prayer list requests. Then we'll jump into our mac and cheese, 107 Days, Kamala Harris and Black Motherhood. And we'll close out with our Black Mama Say. And for this episode, that Black Mama Say is, but what I do know is. Okay. So let's get it going.
I'm so ready with mine.
With your, but what I do know is, okay. Because, there was one episode where
we struggled.
No, we didn't struggle. Nikisha and I didn't struggle. But
you
didn't struggle. You were very clear. Nikisha and I were like.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. During that editing process, I was like, I'm just going to leave it in because that's what she had said.
That's
so I'm just going to leave it
I
in.
meant
That's
it
what
probably,
she meant.
because I have not thought about it.
She's safe. She lives in California. She's fine. So I just left it in there.
For now.
You know I'm serious because my Southern accent came out. She's fine.
It did. She's fine. She's fine.
Okay. You got a number for me?
37.
Ooh, you've been picking high lately. Okay. 37. Do you want to do a numbers thing? I know it's been touch and go with that for you.
It's 1. It's the number 1. It goes down to 1, Which is...
that came up in another one of our episodes, 1.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see here.
What is it?
Iba to the ancestors. Iba to the ancestors. Y'all want this podcast to be popping. Y'all want this podcast to be popping.
What did it say? It's a moment, not a lifetime.
Which I think is something
to
talk
hold. About today.
Right, something to hold. Dear Mama, you read all the books, have all the tools, and still didn't show up the way you desired. Perfection was never the plan. The goal is to be whole. Wholeness recognizes every part of your journey on the mothership is an opportunity to cultivate your humanity. Oh, that's good. Did I write this?
I think you wrote this.
That's good.
Some of the language in there makes me think it's you.
That's good. Wholeness recognizes every part of your journey on the mothership is an opportunity to cultivate your humanity. When you feel like you've gotten it wrong or you didn't do your best, remember, it's a moment and you are creating a lifetime. You are worthy of second chances. Release the shame and the guilt. Make amends and choose to begin again. Come on, Crystal.
I think that's a sign for Kamala Harris to come on Them Black Mamas podcast.
You think that's a sign?
I think it's a sign for her to come on the podcast.
She can come on. I do want to get into questions that we would ask her. She can come on, it ain't gonna be no cakewalk, but she welcome to come on.
Yeah. But I think I have questions.
I have questions.
I have
I have
questions.
questions. I have
After
questions.
reading
But
the
she's
book, I have
welcome to come
questions.
on. She's welcome to come on. Okay. So, the Ancestor quote. Girl, I love the Ancestor quote. So I've been a little bit in my June Jordan bag lately. And let me tell you.
You have. You had your Stevie Wonder bag for a
I'm
while.
a
You've
Stevie
been
Wonder
in your
bag.
June Jordan.
You guys be careful in the June Jordan bag.
You do. You do. You do. You do. You do.
June.
There's a time and a place.
Let me tell you, June will have you out here like,
if you don't give a damn, we don't give a fuck. If you don't give a damn, we don't give a fuck. Hey, like that.
That's going on the episode playlist.
Pretty much every quote will have you feeling that way.
That is a June Jordan mantra. Okay, so this is from one of her poems. And it says, "And the babies cease alarm as mothers raising arms, and heart high as the stars so far unseen, nevertheless hurl into the universe a moving force, irreversible as light years, traveling to the open eyes. And who will join this standing up? And the ones who stood without sweet company will sing and sing back into the mountains, and if necessary, even under the sea. We are the ones we've been waiting for."
Mm-hmm.
And that is from her poem for South African women. She did it at the UN as a commemoration of the 40,000 women and children who on August 9th, 1956, presented themselves in bodily protest against the Dampas in the capital of apartheid. And she presented that at the United Nations on August 9th, 1978. And the Dampas restricted the movement of Black South Africans within their country. And mothers and children put their bodies on the line to protest that. And she wrote a poem in commemoration of that. And we've heard that saying, we are the ones we've been waiting for. And so I wanted to give context to that because so many other people have used it, right? Alice Walker has used it as well. So I have the links. I have the link to that poem in our show notes and also the link to the places where Alice Walker used it as well. But that's June Jordan. What's the theme song, Thea?
If you don't give a damn, we don't give a fuck. If you don't give a damn, we don't give a fuck.
Or
when
nuck
you
if you buck.
Feel that way, or nuck if you buck.
Nuck if you buck.
Nuck if you buck.
Nuck if you buck. Okay, so let's jump into our church announcements, praise reports, and prayer list requests.
So, in 2026, it's all the way live for me. Hopefully, if you haven't joined the newsletter, please join the newsletter. I just booked my first of several in-person venues to do the Joy Experience live with you all, like a full day of joy-centered healing and living work. It'll be in Atlanta at the Rest Spot on April 25th.
Oh, the Rest Spot.
Maybe by this time, a registration option on my website. So just make sure you're following along because we're going to different cities, looking at spaces in LA, Portland, Chicago, Baltimore, all over to see which ones we want to do for this year. And then, of course, Hold a Sacred Retreats. We're going back to Egypt, back to Sharm in March. We'll be returning in October as well. And just stay tuned for all these and other opportunities. The newsletter is the absolute best way to keep up with that work.
And we'll have the link for that in our show notes. Okay. So my church announcements are, first and foremost, sign up for our email. As Thea said, that's the best way to keep up with what is going on with us because these episodes only come out twice a month and the newsletter is once a week. It's a better way to keep up with what is going on with us. I will be doing a multi-week series for Black Mama Creatives where we'll be creating in community and we'll be using meditation to spark imagination and then actually getting something down that you have been putting off creating. So look out for the details of that. So sign up for our newsletter for that. And if you're watching on YouTube, don't just look at us. I'm going to put a link in there to the person who helped me get my makeup game together. I did a makeup
makeup
tutorial.
is really cute today.
I did a makeup tutorial and she really helped me get it together. I'm going to put a link for her in our show notes and
Looks
also
really
tag
nice.
her on YouTube because she really helped me get it together. It was a makeup tutorial, do your makeup in 20 minutes. So I really, really appreciate it, her. But don't just look at us. Hit that subscribe button, okay? And share this episode with at least one person who you feel can benefit from the episode, because sharing is not only caring, sharing is how and why we build community. All right. I think we've already kind of teetered around it.
Yeah, we got to jump in.
The mac and cheese is out of the oven and we're like getting a little bit of the corner.
We got to wait till it like solidified.
It hadn't really settled. So we just tasting the corner. It's settled. We about to get into it. Let's roll into this mac and cheese. All right, y'all, we are back with the mac and cheese that we dipped into a little bit earlier. Again, we're talking about Kamala Harris's book about the election, 107 Days.
Mm-hmm.
Kamala Harris and Black Motherhood. So before we get started, I'm going to read the description of the book, and then we're going to jump in with first thoughts, okay? For the first time, and with surprising and revealing insights, former Vice President Kamala Harris tells a story of one of the wildest and most consequential presidential campaigns in American history. Your Secret Service code name is Pioneer. You're the first woman in history to be elected Vice President of the United States. On July 21st, 2024, your running mate, Joe Biden, announces that he will not be seeking re-election. The presidential election will occur on November 5th, 2024. You have 107 days.
Mm-hmm.
From the chaos of campaign strategy sessions to the intensity of debate prep under relentless scrutiny and the private moments that rarely make headlines, Kamala Harris offers an unfiltered look at the pressures, triumphs, and heartbreaks of a history-defining race with behind-the-scenes details and a voice that is both intimate and urgent. This is more than a political memoir. It's a chronicle of resilience, leadership, and the high stakes of democracy in action. Written with candor, a unique perspective, and the pace of a page-turning novel, 107 Days takes you inside the race for the presidency as no one has ever done before. Okay, so first thoughts.
You go.
You want me to go first?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, so first thoughts for me are reading this book was a lot. Let me not say that because we say that's like a cliche statement. It wasn't a lot. I'm going to be more specific. Did you watch the season of Queen Sugar that was about COVID?
Mm-hmm.
That's what this book felt like to me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Watching that season where, and that was a very tough season. And a lot of people checked out. A lot of people at that time were on Twitter like, Ava, we love you, but can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
Can't relive this right now. It's too soon.
Mm-hmm.
And watching that season, I felt a lot of dread because I knew what was coming. I knew how it, quote unquote, ended, right? And everything that had led up to that. That's what I felt like reading this book. It reminded me of watching that episode. I felt visceral stress again, anxiety, sick to my stomach. All of that came back, like all those feelings that I was feeling during that time. Fear. And there was a time when I had to put the book down and I was like, I can't. And I had to take a break from reading it because it was like I could feel it pulling me back into that. I was like short with my kids, just not in a good place, going through that. Because I know how it turned out. Also, it heightened anxiety. We listened on Audible, right? Every time she would say, day such and such, 49 days to the election, day such and such, 30, it would just, right? And so that was one of my first observations. My other observation, I didn't realize how little time 170 days was for a political presidential campaign. When she starts counting off those days, it hits me like, oh, this is not a lot of time at all. But when we were going through it, I didn't, I didn't, I don't know. I just didn't capture the.
Yeah, no, we couldn't grasp the time.
I couldn't grasp the time.
We couldn't grasp the time.
But she was always aware of it. She was
Mhm.
always
Mhm.
aware of it. What else do I have here? She I I wanted a lot more of strategy choices. Like, why was this choice made? She lays
Mhm.
out early on, she wasn't in on those. She had hired the people to do it. She needed to get in front of as many people as possible.
Mhm.
She left that to the people
Mhm.
that she had
Mhm.
hired, and they would come and tell her what she needed to do and what the
Mhm.
decisions were. I
Mhm.
get that. I understand that. And it was a disappointment in the book because
Mhm.
I had so many questions about strategy.
Mhm.
But then there's some points that she details, like the whole Joe Rogan not being on the Joe Rogan podcast. Personally, I didn't give a fuck about that
I don't
shit.
give a fuck about that.
I didn't
Yeah.
give a fuck
There was
about that
several
shit.
I don't give a fuck moments for me.
What I want to know is, why didn't you go on Sirius XM? Well, not Sirius XM. Why didn't you go on Urban View?
Mhm.
Reese Colbert literally came to prominence correcting disinformation and misinformation about your record. Why
Mhm.
didn't, like, I wanted to know those types of things, and it
Yeah.
wasn't there. I was really, she lays out her stance on Gaza, Palestine, and Israel, which is logical, which I understand but don't agree with.
Mhm.
Yet I was extremely disappointed that there was no explanation of why the choice was made not to allow someone to talk about Palestine and Gaza on that stage. She mentions it. She mentioned how she addressed it in her speech and how she was praised for how she handled it from opinion pieces in the media. I wanted more. I felt like that deserved more.
Mhm.
So that was a huge disappointment to me because that's one of the things that I wanted to read. That's one of the things that I wanted to know. Other observations. She is loyal to a fault. I was so frustrated with her. You don't have to throw him under the bus, but your loyalty should have a limit where your well-being starts. He's not going to be president anymore. Why do you feel the need to not separate yourself from him? And she's also managing so much. I had a lot of compassion. It felt like she was managing I would imagine that if a Black woman in corporate America read this, or if a Black woman working around white folks, like there was a moment in this book I wanted her to say, white folks is crazy. White
Mhm.
folks is wild. There was a moment I wanted her to say that. But I imagine a lot of women who work in corporate America, a lot of Black women who work in corporate America or around a lot of white people will resonate with the unconscious managing that she does when it comes to Joe Biden. I love Joe Biden. I respect, it's like she's even managing and kind of um strategy, like not strategizing, but like managing her response to him. She's managing a lot in this book, and she has to make some tough choices. Like, I can't micromanage people. Number one, I don't have time. I have 107 days. And she talks about how micromanaging can shake people's confidence. And if you hire them, you have to believe in them. And so there's this balance of not micromanaging, but also letting people know, no, this is not a good idea. Like the interview with her first interview that she did with Dana Bash, and she had Tim Walz there, and the lighting was horrible and all that. She knew. She knew. Like when she walked in, she knew. She says it. She knew. But she didn't say anything because she didn't want to micromanage. And it's like, often when you're a leader, especially when you're a Black woman leader, you're kind of balancing and
Of
negotiating
course. Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I felt a lot of that in this
Yeah.
book.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think Kamala Harris, I have some disagreements with her and some of the ways she handled things in this campaign, but I think she would have been a great president. I imagine the things I would have aligned with her on and the things that I would have been happy to be a thorn in her side about. and push her on. And I also think, I don't know if she's the president for this moment. We're at a moment where people have conflated elected officials with movement leaders, have conflated elections with movements. And those are two very different things. Elections are not movements. And people want that. And I don't know if people know the long road to get to electing a movement leader and them holding on to those ideals once they get elected, like the long road to what that would look like and what that would cost us in the meantime. But that's what people want. And the GOP have a movement leader in the president right now who is willing to blow,
To scorch earth, yeah.
to scorch earth, to scorch earth. And I think she's a workhorse. I don't know if she's a great politician. I don't know that. I think she could be an effective elected official, but what it takes to get there, I don't know if I would say, Obama was a savvy politician. Obama was a great politician. He was really good at it. And I don't know if she's as good at it because she has a lot of, I don't want to say idealistic, but it's like, I felt like she can be a fighter.
Yeah.
She really can. But also with her, she don't like to fight all the time. She's like, I mean, I can do that. And I'm good at it when I do it. But I want to have a good time. I want to connect with people. It's that. And we are in a fight mode. But I'm also holding our conversation with Loretta Ross. Like, you have to have a good time doing this.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You have to take care of yourself and you have to be willing to connect with people, and your fights cannot be fatal. So I'm also holding that. But those were like my first thoughts. That final one is just, we are in trouble because I also don't know if, like, what does a Democratic leader who is a movement leader look like that does not alienate Black people? Like Bernie is a movement leader. But when Bernie talks
He has
about
a race problem.
he has a race problem. When Bernie talks about the working class, he's talking about white men.
Yeah.
So what does that look like? And are people willing to have the conversations about race that it would take to have that kind of leader?
Because
And
on the left, fights be fatal.
Fights be fatal on the left. And if you haven't
Not
listened
on
to
the right,
yeah,
but on the left, they'd be fatal.
Boom. If you haven't listened to our episode with Loretta Ross, get into it.
Yeah.
Get into it because it's a lot of quotables. But those are my first thoughts.
Same. I have a lot of first thoughts. I didn't fall into this book easily or well.
Same.
I didn't fall into it easily or well at all. If it wasn't for the fact that we had talked about it on this podcast, I probably would have stopped reading it.
You would have quit.
I would have stopped reading it for sure.
Would I stop? No, because
I would have stopped it,
I'm a junkie, so no.
Yeah, I would have stopped.
And I would have just told you about
this ain't bringing me joy. Yeah, I would have said, Crystal, give me the recap.
Give me the clip.
I resented the optimism and the idealism throughout it.
Yeah.
I really, that could be from the time that we are in now reading it, but I felt like from where we are right now, it felt like, oh, no wonder y'all don't get shit done over there. Like, there's nothing in the dirt about this. There's nothing heavy lifting about this. There's nothing, everything's like high platitude, like idealistic. And like, it can't be all that. We cannot win things that way. It can't be all unity. This proved there's no solidarity. This election proved that. Can't always be that. Where is the dirt? This is the thing. I was very clear about my vote for Hillary. I want that dirty chick in. I wanted somebody dirty. I wanted somebody in mud. I wanted somebody who would do the dirty things. I wanted dirt. And she ain't
grimy.
There's still this very polished, and so I was struggling. It made me irritable. And it even made me like angry at times. I hated the format of the book. But when I think about it, that's what it felt like and what they had to work through to do it. to do the actual thing. Because like you, this book, having it 107 days and formatting the way it does make you feel the discomfort and the tension and the irritation of only having 107 days. And as she did it, I became more and more irritated with these days. But
Mhm.
also, that's all she had. Like, she didn't
That's
have
all
like
she had.
months. She didn't have like, she had days. Like, she had to go day by day. And so that's where the admirable part is. Like her, in other words, I wish she would have given me more of that dirty, because that is not easy to have 107 days, have to maximize everyone, what you have to hold in your mind. How do you have to hold yourself as a Black woman? Like, none of this is easy. And I feel like she tried to make it sound like she would say, this isn't easy, but I wanted to hear, like you, I wanted to hear you wanted to hear the strategy. I wanted to hear the actual marrow and the stuff. I wanted to hear the cracking. I wanted to hear the breaking. I wanted to hear not that hurt. I wanted to hear it makes you want to punch someone in the face. I
So,
want things I just these are the things that I felt like for me
I wanna
were well,
I
hold it.
I
Go
want to
ahead.
affirm you right here.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to affirm you right here.
It was too nice.
I gotta affirm, boo. That's what I mean. Like, you a fighter. I done seen you quip. I done seen you quip. So I know your favorite cuss word is motherfucker with an A.
100%
You
your
was on a
favorite.
debate stage and you almost called this man a motherfucker. I know it's there. You from the Bay.
You where where is it?
You
Where
from
is
the
it?
Bay.
It was giving me
And so
polished.
one of the things that I think like that was missing as a memoir is about how this shaped me, reshaped me, what I learned, how it changed me. That is one of the good things about Jada Pinkett's memoir. It's
Mhm,
not a
mhm,
lot of
mhm,
tea in
mhm,
there. It's nothing
mhm,
in there that we don't know.
mhm, mhm.
But what we get a look at
With a
is
little T.
how it's I
And maybe
well
some little
maybe.
T.
Maybe
Mhm,
I lived in LA, but well, maybe so
mhm,
I don't know.
mhm.
It's not tea.
Maybe,
But
maybe,
okay,
maybe.
maybe
For others, yeah.
for others. But I understood how Jada was shaped and
Yeah.
molded, and it made me understand her decisions more. There's in the
Yeah.
at the
In the
end
end, it's
in the
that's what I was about to say.
end,
At the end is when you but
but
you gotta go through
still
the whole 100
you
and
gotta
some
but
days
even at
to
the
get
end,
there.
which I'll read, even at the end, I'm not getting that reshaping in the moment. Like,
No.
when Joe Biden calls you before you hit the debate stage and say, basically, my brother said that people saying you've been talking shit about me. I mean, I'm giving the cliff notes.
Mhm.
Tell me how that reshaped you, what that did to you, how that I know you can't feel it in the moment, but this is a reflection.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
that wasn't
I
present.
that it wasn't. I felt like,
It was a missed
um
opportunity, I feel like.
not only that, but it was that piece that teaches us to perform Blackness a certain way or to, like, maintain the thing, and it's not time for that. It's not
I like
time
this
like
posture.
this,
I like
it's
this
not
posture.
time for that. You know what? I needed Joe Stacey Abrams to come out. I needed Joe, I feel like Stacey Abrams has a way of holding her shit, like, very centered, but also being very real.
I
Like, you
needed
can
Joe
feel
Bay to come out.
I needed Joe there was so there's that.
But I do want to affirm that as well. I think you're right with the respectability. The only thing that I was saying is I don't
And
always want to
very centrist. Like, there was which I get, and I
girl,
get
bitch.
the very centrist. And I'm not even like this is like, okay, here's my thing. The world has cracked open. This nigga done won the election. We don't have to still praise capitalism in a world where we all know capitalism is a motherfucking shit show. We don't have to do that. And I agree with you about the Gaza thing. Like, I wanted to hear that
Even if I didn't
I
agree
wanted
with
to,
it.
even if I
Even if
didn't
I
agree with
didn't
that, I
agree.
wanted to hear that it feels fucked up to be in a political situation where you are arming a genocide and the complexities of untangling that without detonating some other shit. Let me know something. That's not national security secrets. We know that. But you saying that I couldn't give them what they wanted for these reasons. I felt that. I wanted that too, but there's certain reasons I couldn't block. This also, though, I think aligns with something else that I don't think she talked about enough, which is the restrictive nature of being the VP while running. And how that you have this VP oath where you cannot speak against the president. So there's loyalty in that, but there's also like legalities or like, there's also like ethical oath shit that tied her to Joe,
I
whereas like she
guess.
couldn't in the moment while things were actively bubbling up internationally show like there was like a rift in between there that people could exploit, I guess. But then also,
But then who was
that's
going
just
to
a weird.
exploit that? Who's going to exploit it?
I don't know, Netanyahu, one of them people.
I
I don't.
mean,
I don't
but
know. I
that's
don't
why
know.
I don't understand who's going to exploit that. It wouldn't behoove the
So
GOP
here's the
to
point.
exploit it.
Here's the point. This is
Okay.
why you say that is the point. It's a made up thing that it's about respectability and order and the way we do things in a democracy. It's that. It's that posturing. It's that staging, right? We don't speak against the president when it's not a rule. Like it should. Like I mean, there's some kind of unspoken rule to it. But my point is, Democrats be holding on to that shit like, at the dinner table, we only eat with the salad fork when we do da-da-da-da. And niggas is throwing over the table. And you still trying to set the table. You still trying to put the plates out a certain way. Nobody's doing that shit anymore. Nobody is still honoring this is what we do in a democracy. That is not where we are anymore. And it's gone. Like that is gone. And you are still moving according to these things where they're breaking laws. They're sending our military in against its citizens. We're not in a time of like the salad fork goes here. You know what I'm saying? Like we're not doing that.
Okay, I have something I want to read on that.
Yeah.
I want you to finish, but then I want to circle back around to that because
I mean that's same thing like you. Like it can't, that's the gist. That's the gist of what I'm frustrated about.
I want to
about it.
read something that piggybacks off of what you said. And this is in the last chapter, and this is the chapter January 6th certification day. And this is on page 290. Now, as Vice President and President of the Senate, it was my duty to preside over the certification of Donald Trump's election. I am one of only 3 vice presidents who have been in the position of certifying the victory of their opponent. The others were Richard Nixon to John F. Kennedy and Al Gore to George W. Bush. Hubert Humphrey refused and left it to the Senate President pro tem to certify his loss to Nixon. And as we see how the Nixon president ended, I want to say that motherfucker had a point. And I don't even be riding for white boys like that. Donald Trump has done everything he could to subvert an election, stand in the way of the peaceful transfer of power, and deny the will of the people. I was there to keep my oath to protect and defend the Constitution. I would uphold the rule of law. As I walked into the chamber, I knew that the eyes of the world were on me. I would have to muster the strength to override my internal emotional storm. As vice president and as Kamala Devi Harris, I had to call on every ounce of poise and self-discipline I possessed. I owed it to myself and to the nation to demonstrate what I believed, that this moment was bigger than any one individual. I stood in front of the tall chair behind the dais facing the full chamber of the Senate and the House. Each state read the number of electoral votes for Donald Trump and the number of votes for Kamala Harris. When they finished, I recited the necessary words. The state of the vote for the President of the United States as delivered to the President of the Senate is as follows. The whole number of the electors appointed to vote for President of the United States is 583. Within the whole number, the majority is 270. The votes for President of the United States are as follows. Donald J. Trump of the state of Florida has received 312 votes. The Republican side of the room cheered. I waited, hands folded. When the applause subsided, I continued. Kamala D. Harris of the state of California has received 226 votes. It was one of the most difficult things I had ever done. I stood there and I did my duty for democracy. And that day, democracy stood. As I finished speaking, both sides of the aisle rose and applauded as one. Now, listen, that's peak respectability politics to me. Because, she's responding from another time. And after I heard that passage in the book, I was like, at what point do we say no?
100%.
At what
You
point
could have
do
walked
we
in there,
say no
did
more?
that mic like this, had the pin like this, then be like, Viva la Revolution!
And also,
we're taking it to the streets or whatever.
We're in a different fight that I think people, and particularly Democrats, aren't recognizing.
100%.
The civil rights
They're
movement,
not reading the room.
Yeah, the civil rights movement was fought within the Constitution. The civil rights movement was holding America's feet to the fire of the Constitution. You say all men are created equal? They held them to that. We're in a different fight where people are not abiding by the Constitution, where using the Constitution that we currently have, a fascist can get into office, which technically goes against everything America stands for. I have always said, I think I said this on 3 of our election podcasts, the Constitution was written under the assumption that white men would act right. And white men have proven over the course of history that they don't know how to fucking act when it comes to freedom.
Or many things.
Many things, right? And so at what point do we say no? Because these motherfuckers that are in office, they have said no. They have said, fuck that. I don't give a fuck what the Constitution say.
Well, here's the thing.
I don't give a fuck.
Just what you said, this confirmed for me. I mean, maybe the tail end of what she said in the book gave me like, oh, that's interesting. That sounds like a shift in the right direction. But they're not reading the room. We are not playing politics. We are in a war.
We are in a war.
And in war, particularly war with whiteness and war with white men, there is no honor. There's just fucking winning the war.
There's winning the war.
And I didn't hear a general. Listen, we are past the point in this country where we're going to have a president. We are in a time in this country where we need a general. We have slipped into the place that we have pushed other countries into, where their politics and the head of their politics is, when's the last time they had an actual president who can govern? We have slipped into the very same thing that we have caused. We aren't craving or looking for or in need of somebody to restore order. We actually need somebody to come in and win the war.
And it's not like there's not a precedent for not doing that. What was it? Hubert Humphrey?
Humphrey said, fuck that.
He said, fuck that. It's not like there's not a precedent for that. And if you have been warning against this person for the whole campaign,
there's no points for poise.
There's no point. That's my thing. Like, who's going to give you points?
Who's watching? 100%. Crystal, that's our other thing.
Who is
this book for?
Who is this for? And that's the thing about respectability politics. Who is it for? Who are you seeking points from?
That is, the answer has to be white people. The only person you would care about thinking that.
I get it. In theory, it is the noble thing to do in theory. I get that. But what do you do when your opponent refuses to play by the rules? Now, this is a complicated question because I'm a person who says our resistance, our healing, our building cannot mimic white supremacy. So I'm not saying do what they do. It's a complicated question. But we got to do something other than that.
Other than this, bitch, this is not going to get it. This is not going to get it. This is not going to get it. This plus the pieces in there with Elon Musk.
What do you mean? Say more.
When we think ahead about the next election, and we think about the advancements in AI, and we think about the amount of misinformation that has impacted the last 2 or 3 elections, to be honest.
Which is what I think this book is about, really.
Yeah. You can't fight that landscape with door-to-door, get to know me. Like, you need a new strategy. You're not going to be able to fight that.
Well,
it's like they feel like if we show them who we are, they'll be convinced. But you can't outrace ads. You can't outrace AI-driven ads.
That's sort of the frustrating thing about the book because she talks about that. And she knows that it's real. She says in the book, she was worried about
And there was no strategy to meet it.
And she says that too. She says that Joe's campaign, she knew there was nothing in place. And that's what I'm like, and she had 107 days and she had to make choices. And I think this book is a reflection of my record was misrepresented so much, and I want to document. Because she talks a lot about what she believed in, what she stood for. And I like, this is a documented record so that it can never be it's like she's trying to fill the void of the misinformation and disinformation that she couldn't do in 107 days.
Yeah.
I feel like some of it is defensive.
Yeah.
And I don't say that in a bad way, but feeling as though like I didn't have the opportunity to defend
she didn't get
myself.
to defend herself
She didn't
before.
get to defend herself.
Yeah, she gets to do it now.
Right. And she gets to do it now. And I think
and humanizing. I think she's constantly trying to humanize herself too.
I feel like she's also still trying to prove herself, which I think is so sad. It's so sad to me. It's so heartbreaking to me that it's so heartbreaking to me. It's heartbreaking to me. And it is what Black women who rise to those levels of power have to manage and endure.
100%.
And I have a June Jordan quote here that I think also encapsulates how I feel about her experience. If you are free, you are not predictable and you are not controllable. So that part about I had to conjure up all the poise and self-discipline in me lets me know I question, because I don't want to put anything on her. I question her freedom. And I'd never thought about this before. Black people who decide to run for office and to continue to rise sacrifice so much freedom. I don't know if it's noble. I don't know if it's not noble.
Right. It's just what it is.
It is but it's what it is. One of our faves, Cephala Fond, she said, Black people are going to have to reconcile that Obama was a part of the U.S. empire. And when I read that thread, it made me feel a type of way. And then I said,
anyone that goes
I don't
to
like
that level
it, but
is you have to accept that that's
you have to accept that.
That's
you have to accept that. And being a part of the empire for Black people is a siphoning off of freedom. And I think that's what Michelle Obama not attending
was about. Yeah.
The inauguration was like,
I want to.
I've given too much already. I'm not giving up anymore.
There's two things I want to bring up, but I need help. On The Office, what's the name of the assistant? Ryan. Okay, I want to make a point. This is a reference to The Office.
Can
and if you're not an Office
pause
fan,
right here? I don't care what we're doing. She
a pop
always
culture
has
reference?
A pop culture movie TV show reference.
It's true.
I sent her the first steps of my now 16-year-old Munch. And she's like, you know what this looks like? You remember when Martin played the cowboy? I was like, how do you have a pop culture reference for my baby's first step?
It's the truth. It's the truth.
Okay, go ahead.
There is an episode of The Office where Jim comes back. I believe it's like season 3. Jim comes back. He's working in the other office, and that closes down. He comes back. And his seat is the one that used to be in front of Pam's seat. And so Ryan started sitting in that seat while Jim was gone. And so when Jim comes back, he goes to sit in the seat. And, he's like, oh, Ryan, this is your seat. He's like, yeah, I've got him to sit here. And they go through this little thing about, like, who gets the seat.
Like, they're like, you can have it. No, you can have it. No, you can have it.
And then he's like, Jim's like, well, you can, I understand. He's like, good, I'll take the seat. And Ryan takes the seat. And Ryan says, and never forget this, y'all. Ryan says, yeah, Jim's a nice guy. That's why I got the seat. I say that because I don't need my next leader or president to be nice. I'd actually prefer it if they didn't, so that we could get the fucking seats. Whatever the seat is, we can get some shit done. She was too nice for me in this book. That. The other thing that stood out for me that was very interesting was they thought what we thought, which is that she was going to win. And that. And two, wait. And she said her team had never lost. She had won every election that she went after. And I want to take a moment with this because Obama had also won every election he had won.
No, he hadn't.
No, he hadn't in the Senate.
He lost. He ran against a former Black Panther in Chicago. and got his ass spanked.
Was that his first one?
No, that wasn't his first one.
First one.
He
Well,
got
then
a
scratch
little.
that.
He got a little, but I'll put the link for one of my favorite. I
Wait, I
thought
want to
put
finish
the
this thought
shit on.
real quick
Okay,
before
but I just
before I
want to say
lose it.
I'm going to put the link for Making Obama in our show notes.
Let me go back. Her team had never lost.
Mm-hmm.
And there's something about not just losing, but there's something about the death that happens, the grief she talks about, the despair, the darkness.
The darkness.
There's something about these events that throw you into the darkness. And the end of the book, for me, was the most compelling.
It was the most compelling.
She was in the darkness. And what she was saying post-darkness made way more sense to me than what she was saying pre-darkness. And I thought to myself, would she have been a better president than Trump is an easy yes.
Right.
But would she have been the best president for the country? What I saw in that glimpse at the end is the better version of her presidency is post-dark.
Fair.
It's post-dark. Like what she was saying there, I felt it. Like acknowledging the brokenness that we're in, acknowledging the brokenness of the systems, acknowledging that they're failing, acknowledging that things can't just change in the system. Change has to happen from outside the system. This is what I'm trying to get at. Like, and she would not be, we're talking about what shaped her, that last little bit, I'm like, she may not be as nice. Like, I think the nice part, like you were saying, wasn't about Trump because we liked the way she was going after him. It was about what was happening internally. Like you were saying, with her own staff, with her own party. Like there was a lot of nice there. And that was costing her in ways that she couldn't measure until after the loss, right? There's a quote that she says there that somebody said to her that I fucking loved. And it's in the I think it's in the afterword. He said, there are certain things that can only be seen through eyes that have cried. That is what made me feel like, oh, now she'd be an even better president.
So just to circle back to Obama, that loss in Illinois taught him something. He learned something valuable in that loss. And he learned, oh, you ain't who you think you are with Black folk. You know what I'm saying? And Black folk honor someone who's been through what this man has been through. And he got spanked in that election. So those losses are important. I will say her elections prior to this one were statewide California. I'm not saying they weren't tough elections. They were tight. That AG election came down. She would not concede, but she won because she made sure every vote was counted. It was probably I think it was the tightest AG race in California history. So I'm not saying they weren't tough, but they have a different vibe.
100%.
In Cali. And what I also got from this is, and this is no shade, like I love California, but she's a Cali girl. And Obama came from Chicago. And it's rough and tough. It's
different.
One of his first political aides and operatives was like, in Chicago, you got to get it or get got. That's it. Cali.
Why did you bring some people from the Bay? She should have brought some.
But also, Cali is a feel-good state. I don't want to discount that. Like, I'm not saying everything is great in Cali and it's not hard and they're not issues, but comparatively, and she's a Cali girl. Like that's the other thing. That I was like, she's a Cali girl, and so
that's with a lot of that idealism and that.
Yeah. And I think it's hard not to be that way in Cali. You from the Bay. That's the home of the Black Panther Party. Like they marched into the state
kind
capitol.
Of rights and things are like and you're normal to you.
Right. They marched into the state capitol they marched into the capitol with guns, because open carry was legal then in California. You know what I'm saying? The Black Panthers started the free breakfast program, which is the model for breakfast programs in every school in this country. They didn't have one back then. And I know New York, you make dreams come true, but
It's magical.
Hollywood
It's a magical, it's a magical
is
thing.
like it's palpable that anything can
Anything's
happen.
possible. Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
It can make you a bit of a dreamer.
So the
sure.
history of the politics in that state, specifically in the Bay, when you see the Black Panthers did this and it changed this, like when you see that, and then on top of the fantastical element of it, you do come from that. And so your campaigns have a little bit of a different feel.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
You have there's a movie-esque storyline to the arc of how you see this playing out.
Right. And also that's really what I think the book was. Like, I thought this would have been a better documentary.
I agree.
And she's going to get film and TV options for this book, and it's going to be excellent on Hulu and or Apple TV. I think she should aim for Apple TV. They know how to do Gen X content.
They
over
sure
there.
do.
They know how to. Please don't end up on Netflix. I love Netflix, but this is not for Netflix. This is Hulu or Apple TV. But I'm going to read that part you were talking about.
Yeah.
This is on page 299. This is afterward. When I decided to become a prosecutor, I had to defend that decision to my family, like a student defending a thesis. I asked why, when we seek change, must it either be by breaking down doors or crawling on bended knee? I wanted a seat at the table. I wanted to make change from inside the system. Today, I'm no longer sure about that because the system is failing us at every level: executive, judicial, legislative, corporate, institutional, media. Every single guardrail that is supposed to protect our democracy is buckling. I thought those guardrails would be stronger. But the other piece I think that you're talking about is this part. This is on 197, 2 pages before. We need to come up with our own blueprint that sets out our alternative vision for our country. A blueprint on how we will lead a government that truly works for the American people. There will have been so much damage done.
Yes, this is the part.
Perhaps so much damage that we will have to recreate our government.
Yes.
And that doesn't mean nostalgically reproducing what has been done before, but something leaner, swifter, and much more efficient. At the heart of my vision for the future is Gen Z. The youngest member of that cohort is 13 now, and the oldest is 28. In 5 years, the younger members will be about to vote. The oldest might be having kids. So
yeah, that was
good. And I can see that. And also, I think I'm not surprised. She picked Tim Walz as her VP.
Yeah.
You know?
That was a great part of the book. Actually.
That was a great part of the book.
That was one of my favorite parts of the book.
That was a really,
that
really
process. Yeah,
great
it was
part
great.
of the book. But when she talks about a new alternative vision for our country, there's a moment that I think that was missed. And maybe if she had more time, they would have honed in it more. The structure of her family is a blended family. You know, I didn't know that her sister was a teen mom. And that's why she came back home to go to law school. She had gotten into Georgetown. She came back home to go to law school to help with her sister who got pregnant in high school so that her sister could follow her dreams and her life wasn't over because she got pregnant young. And I thought, that's a vision of family, of motherhood. When it comes to her sister, when it comes to her own motherhood journey, you know, she's a stepmom. Like, really talking about that more, because, you know, at the core of the vision that we have, the American dream is the family, right? But I think pushing that idea of family out more, like that vision of her family out more, signals a new vision of America. You know, so I kind of thought that was a missed opportunity for that. You wanna talk closing thoughts, and then I wanna pivot a little
I
bit to the
think
future?
those were my
Those
for
are your
me,
closing
those were the
thoughts?
closing thoughts. Those 2 parts you read were, for me, when I finally leaned in. I really liked the Tim Waltz pieces, and again, I do think that the going through the November 5th, November 6th, those things were like, no matter what I was experiencing in the earlier parts of the book, that's where I could feel the devastation all over again and the reality of what had happened. For me, as a future voter, the afterword was the
Mhm,
first time I felt spoken to in the entire
mhm.
book. For me, it was the first time I
Fair.
felt like that, like you're talking to me,
Yeah.
because the other part didn't give me a lot of hope that it wouldn't be more status quo in
Yeah.
2, 3 years.
Yeah, that was interesting because it's felt like a big shift for me, and then I'm like, "She's just recounting what happened."
Yeah.
That's basically what she did.
Yeah.
She is just,
From
um,
as accurately as she can from
as
how her mind was
accurately,
thinking and seeing things at that
um
time.
as she can. And I know you and I talked about this and, you know, was it too soon? Should she be releasing the book right now?
Mhm.
And I have some sensitivity towards that, especially because I am in a cohort with a woman named Vashti Dubois, and she runs a nonprofit called the Colored Girls Museum. And one of their art exhibits was about the disappearance of Black women. There are over 100,000 Black girls and women missing. And it's like, well, I can't believe that. Like, why aren't people talking about that? But what the exhibit shows is we disappear Black women from so many other spaces that by the time the body disappears, it's not a thing. We
Mhm.
disappear them from academics, we disappear them from politics,
Mhm.
we disappear them from narratives. And so
Mhm.
once their body's gone, we're so used to them being disappeared, we don't
Mhm.
even recognize what's
Mhm.
going
Mhm.
on. And so I feel like whether or not I think it's the right time is not relevant. And I'm not sure if there would have ever been a right time because we don't know what this was going to happen literally tomorrow.
Mhm.
And I think Black women have the right to have their stories enter the world whenever they deem it's necessary
100%.
because of the
Yeah. Yeah.
epidemic of our
Yeah.
disappearance. But when
Yeah.
I was done with the book, I wrote this to you all. The way I broke down when listening to the November 5th
Mhm.
chapter, I had been holding that in my body for so long. My tears after the election were different. Maybe fear, maybe pain from a gut punch, gutted. But these tears were different. It was like a dam broke in me, one that needed to break. And maybe now, my true work in this moment as an artist, as a mother, as a priest can truly begin. I needed this book in a way I didn't know that had nothing to do with Kamala. Clear eyes, full heart, can't lose. And if you watch Friday Night Lights, you'll know where that quote comes
Mhm.
from. It's one of
Mhm.
my favorite quotes. So that's what
Mhm.
it did for me, and that was unexpected. And I needed that. The lift that I feel, the lightness that I feel after that dam broke,
Yeah.
was something I didn't know I needed.
Well, I'll just say this last thing. The
Okay.
other thing that helped shift me, and I'm not easily shifted nowadays. Right now, with this, I'm not easily shifted because she kind of tap danced around it, but she did not talk about the Black men thing. I feel
I'm
like
about to get
Gaza and
into
the Black
that.
men thing, she didn't want to go too. She didn't want to do
I
that, and
felt like
maybe
she got into the Black men thing.
she got close to it.
This is a good shift. This is actually where I'm shifting to. This is
Yeah.
good.
But the other thing that did ring something in my brain was like, oh, because I have been. Listen, when y'all said we quit Black women, I was like, say less, bitch. I couldn't be more, I don't give a fuck.
Until that
I
Loretta
couldn't
Ross
be more tuned
convo.
up. Yeah, I'm still, and I'm like, I'm
You're still
applying,
finding your way, but
I'm
you're finding your
applying.
way. You're
I'm not
flying.
jumping back in. I'm just like, we'll see what I could do.
Yeah.
But when she said 1/3 of people stayed home, 1/3 of people voted for
Mhm.
me, and 1/3 of people voted for him, which means 2/3 of the country did not vote for him. That changed something in my mind because I've been like, if you don't give a damn, we don't give a fuck. If you don't give a damn, we don't. I've been like, we done got through shit before. We gonna get. But it made me curious about that third that didn't vote,
Mhm.
and it made me say, thinking about our work as artists, as entrepreneurs,
Mhm,
as creatives,
mhm,
like,
mhm.
oh, these are the people who aren't moved by politics. These are the people who don't think or
Mhm.
care politically.
Mhm.
They're moved by culture. They're moved by
Mhm.
art. They're moved by something else. And we need
Mhm.
to consider that,
Mhm.
like, shifting culture and cultural interventions like joy, grief work, these types of things are the things that that group is like waiting to respond to, not politics. Politics isn't something everybody's, somebody told me politics is, I don't know who this original quote is from, is is just who gets what. Not everybody's interested in that conversation. Some people are viewing it as how things feel or where I belong or what I'm connected to. And I don't think we have enough language out there that speaks to that. We have gotten along on these party lines and push forward without even engaging that third, without really thinking about what does move them and thinking outside of a political mindset about what they need, not to bring them into politics, but to expand politics to include these culturally relevant, connective, psychosocial, emotional pieces, right? So I thought that was like, that did something for me. I did like that.
And that's why art matters, because art can creep into the crevices where politics cannot. It
100%.
can creep
Yeah.
into the crevices of culture where politics are held at bay.
Mhm.
And make no mistake about it, the right and racists have used art for a long time. The Birth of a Nation, hello,
Mhm.
was a
Mhm. Mhm.
propaganda movie
Mhm.
about Black
Mhm.
men
Yeah.
and the fear of the freedom of Black men leading to the rape of white women.
Mhm.
There are so many examples of how art has been used to perpetuate white supremacy.
Mhm.
So art is powerful, and I don't
Mhm.
think that we're using it enough
Enough.
and
Yeah.
in an effective way. I do think that it is that's why, I know celebrityism and all of that, but when people see an artist endorse someone,
Mhm. Mhm.
you
It
know,
matters. Mhm.
I don't know if it moves a needle, but we definitely sit up.
Yeah.
Do you know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now, do I think that's the most effective way? I don't know. I think will.i.am making the Yes We Can song
Mhm.
was more effective than will.i.am coming out and saying, "I'm voting for Barack
Mhm.
Obama."
Mhm. Mhm.
I think the art that what is it, Shepard Fairey did
A Shepherd Fairy. Mhm.
did, which is, it's a little bit controversial now, I
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
did was more effective than him coming out. And these were
Yeah.
organic artistic things
Yeah.
that people did. The campaign didn't
Right.
prompt them to do this. They did those things on their own. And I think
Yeah.
that that's kind of a guide of a more effective way um, to utilize art,
Yeah. Yeah.
But you mentioned the Black man thing. That was a great segue. You didn't know you were second.
Mhm. I did it.
She went on the Breakfast Club. She went on All the Smoke. To me, she did Black man podcast and white girl podcast.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. She talked about that 1/3 staying home and, you know,
Mhm.
1/3 voting for her, 1/3 voting for Trump, right? But I still needed more. I was like, what happened? I need to know. And honestly, I checked out of the election at the end of September. It was stressing me out too much. I knew who I was going to vote for.
Mhm.
So a lot of this recounting, once she got to
Mhm.
October,
Mhm.
I had checked out of.
Yeah, yeah, some of the things that she thought of were her mistakes, I didn't even know they
I didn't
happened.
even know because I couldn't take it. I couldn't
Mhm.
take it anymore. Which I think, like I said in our earlier segment, I wish I had been braver and had
Mhm.
done enough work where I had the stamina to
Mhm.
sustain, and I won't make that mistake again. But I was watching a clip of Roland Martin, and he had a Harris pollster on there. This pollster was actually hired by the campaign. His name is Terrence Woodbury of Hit Strategies. And something interesting that came out of some of the polling that he did. I don't know if he did this for the campaign, but this clip was 7 months ago, and Roland Martin was talking about, what have we learned since the election, right? So Black voters, 60% believe men should be head of household. Hold yourself, Thea. I should have gave
I'm
Thea
reaching for
one.
it. Yeah,
Don't
I'm
just
reaching
Thea.
for it.
No, Thea, come
I'm
on,
reaching for it.
It's only me and you on here today. Thea, it's
I understand.
only.
I don't know what else you're gonna say. Just say it.
Okay.
I'm here, but I'm
59% of Black women believe this. 75% of Black men believe this.
My God.
What? Jesus Christos.
Jesus Cristo.
What Terrence Woodbury says is that Democrats need to learn how to talk about this. That the narrative around women's empowerment, they have to learn how to talk to Black folks about this. Now, I don't know who he's polling. These are just his polls, okay?
Okay, well, let's wait. I need
just let me finish what he says. He says, what Terrence is saying is, he's saying a lot of Black people are getting that from their church.
Mm-hmm.
And when you wag your finger at them and say, you're sexist or misogynistic for not voting for a woman, or reaming them out for their patriarchal beliefs, then you're telling them that their Bible is wrong if they're getting that from the church. And he says that they must explain better about the evolution of gender and what does non-toxic masculinity look like, because we're focusing so much on toxic masculinity. What does non-toxic masculinity look like? When I heard this, first of all, white supremacy is a hell of a drug. And it also made me think, like, why do Black women want Black men to be head of household? Is it because, what's the impact of enslavement on there? That we've worked from the time we've entered this country. So we would like to not.
Or whatever thing.
Is I just gave you is that a part of it? Or are we mimicking white supremacy and we think that that is the way forward?
All that made me tired. I'm not gonna lie to you. I just got tired. I was like, that's how I felt.
Yeah, I know.
That's how I felt.
You don't have to say anything. I just want our listeners to hear it.
2 steps forward, 2 steps back.
4 steps.
4 steps. Because when you line that up against the graduation rates and the other things, it's like,
you don't have to say nothing, friend.
I can't. Thank you. I appreciate it. Pass. Hard pass.
So the other part I want to talk about is a part of the book where I wanted her to give more. But then when I was doing a little bit more research, I realized, she's kind of ahead of the party on this, was the trans ads.
I thought that was a really strong area too.
I didn't. I wanted more from her on that. I was like, I wanted more from her.
Well, maybe not strong. I felt like that was one of the more genuine areas.
More genuine and more detailed of what happened, right?
Yeah.
Well, girl. I was listening to an interview of Eva McKinn and Clay Kane, and I'll have the link for that. And Eva is a political reporter, and she said that Democrats are running from the trans issue. You can't get anybody to talk about it. And so that part in her book that I thought was not enough was actually way out in front
of
where Dems are about this. And again, on the Roland Martin clip with the poster, 59% of Black people believe trans gains come at their expense. Terrence Woodbury says he feels people want to know why their life sucks. And the GOP gave Black people, specifically Black men, someone to blame. That I can't have gains if this other group is having gains. Same thing with immigrants. But I feel like you can't buy into that unless you have some underlying xenophobia and
Transphobia.
transphobia
Yeah, for sure.
because white people believe the same thing about our
Yeah,
gains.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
They believe our gains come at their expense, and they don't. So you're mimicking white supremacy in that. So those things, were very eye-opening when I when I sort of got out of the setting, the atmosphere of this book,
Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
know, and just my visceral response to it and
Yeah.
how it's sort of sitting in the world. I thought that those are two things that I found extremely compelling, I would say.
And I think, if I'm being honest, that speaks to the Cali again. We're
Say
in a state
more.
we're in a state that people who are LGBTQ flock to because
Yeah.
it's safe
Mhm.
for the most part. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like I've had several friends that identify as queer that come here and they want to move here
Mhm.
simply because of how
Mhm.
San Francisco and West Hollywood, these are really big queer communities,
Meccas.
but yeah, meccas in a lot of things. So, and her being from California, I could see why she'd be so far ahead in that. But I also think that patriarchal piece and that, I don't want to just say generalized Christian, but, that specific type of mimicking white Christianity, those ideals doesn't have a strong foothold here either. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And so
White
yeah,
evangelical
yeah,
Christianity, yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
So I'll be honest with you. When you're here, you can forget that that's still a barrier you have to cross for people, especially Black people. You can forget that the same people who champion civil rights for all people still harbor these ideas, even though they still are proud of the legacy
Yeah.
of civil rights, which is a contradiction,
It
right? That's
is.
a
Yeah, yeah,
contradiction.
yeah, yeah,
That
yeah.
is a
Yeah.
contradiction. Like we sitting there proud to be the people
Yeah.
who make civil rights happen, and then most of us are still holding on to the ideas that something like gender or how you're born determines what you should be able to access. And I think I will say, being from California, having friends like you and people who are not in California gives me the more accurate read on what's actually needed politically. Because if I had to go by what I'm experiencing,
Mhm.
there's privilege in that. There's a lot
Mm.
of privilege in that.
Mm.
I saw a lot of privilege in how people voted or not voted.
Mm.
I
Mm.
I felt like to be a single issue voter is a privilege. I feel like
Audre Lorde
when if you
said, "We are not single issue
people
people because
like
we do not live." She said, "We are not single issue people because we do not live single issue lives."
we do not.
We
We live
quote Audrey so
complex.
much, and
we,
yet
we we live complex, intersectional existences, and yet I think what gives me in this moment, like in my conclusion, not just about the book, but about the state of things.
Mhm. Oh, I wanted to
Sitting
ask you
as a
about
Black
that.
woman,
Can you talk about that as a mother too? How it's
yeah,
yeah,
like as
yeah.
a Black woman, as a mother, with queer identified children, all these different things. I feel like one, I don't trust anyone.
Mhm.
I don't feel
That's new for you.
that is new for me. One of my frustrations with the left, I have frustration with everybody, left, liberal, right. I see whiteness everywhere I look because even
Mm.
on the left, how many of you are actually poor? How many of you are actually impoverished? Working man, working man. How many of you are actually check to check? The, as you're talking, as you're screaming, as you're yelling, when it comes down to it, if your job was threatened or that check was threatened, you're actually not going to sacrifice anything. And you've proven that time and time again. You just like to talk about it. You just like to talk about it. With the liberals and the Dems, it's similar. They like more cushion in their comfort. They like to be better than someone else. So does the left. Whereas the right doesn't give a fuck about being better than anybody. They just want power. They just want power and they want it very clearly. I am a person who values life. I'm a person who values nature. I'm a person who values the relationship between nature, life, spirit, families, people, connection, belonging, art. I'm a person who cares about the how. I'm a person who cares about evolution and moving forward, embracing change. So I think I'm still where I was, just not as angry. I am moving into acceptance.
Loretta Ross
Eh,
helped us.
Loretta Ross, and some of that acceptance is, this goes back to what I do. I, therefore, am left with, for me and mine, I will build it. And if anybody that could benefit from what I'm doing in that world, great. So I have to ask myself, how do we do what we've always done? And this is what confused me sometimes about people on the left is like their understanding of power. We were enslaved. Can you describe less power? Can you describe less power? We weren't human. Who had less power? And the people who came here as property are the ones who created rights for everybody. The only reason this American thing even looks remotely like what it talks about is the people who had the least power. So power is not money. Power is not even votes. Power is people. Power, we prove that. Power is thinking about what comes after you. Thinking about
Loretta Ross said that. You're not the
thinking about what
only
comes
link.
after you.
You're not
And
the only link in the
remembering
chain.
and remember what came before you. And
It didn't. She said that it didn't begin and end with you.
it didn't begin and end with you.
It
That
didn't
is
begin with you, and it
power.
won't end with you.
We can't do things
Yeah.
like what I see in the left is, I don't get what I want, so I do this. It's very reactionary. It's very immature. The civil rights
White.
movement was mature.
It's very
Black people
white.
had to age this shit over a period of time. There's maturity.
Can I pause you there? Because a
Yeah.
lot of people think the civil rights movement started late 50s,
Yeah,
60s.
and
The civil rights movement, and I always fit this in my conversation with Elaine Brown.
Lane Brown, yeah.
The civil rights movement was 20 years in the making, and a piece of technology came along and lit it on fire, which was television. And every movement needs that. That's what she said. But when she said it was 20 years in the making, we were all sitting at that table like,
Before you,
what? She was like, yeah, it was 20 years in the making, y'all.
20 years.
Movements take time.
Folks can't stay upset on the same thing for 20 days.
107 days.
107 days. So, I mean, I think I'm still where I was, but I do what I left with is if she runs again, she'll be a better president than she would have been had she won.
And
because of this. Yeah.
My final thoughts are she's definitely running in 2028. 1000%. Clock it. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I don't think I am. I know that because I felt like she's still calculating, and I don't think being calculating is a negative thing always. I think that
she says, I'm not done.
Right. And some movement leaders could use calculation.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's a bad thing. And the way she speaks about Israel, and she did everything but call Gaza a genocide, which is like, oh, you're running for president. Because someone who isn't running for president, yeah.
I just don't know the harm in saying we got in some shit, but to keep defending it.
I mean, that's a calculation. And to me, it also goes back to that June Jordan piece about, oh, that would be unpredictable. And if I'm, if I'm free, I'm not predictable. I'm not controllable.
Yeah.
And that would be unpredictable. And that's a problem.
The left and the Democrats only want to put forth people who will be predictable.
Right.
They don't like to put forth that. They kind of ruin that in their own party. They kind of suss that out from the bottom.
And people may not remember this, but that was part of the problem with Barack Obama. Like, that was unpredictable. It wasn't his turn. And they had a huge problem with that. People don't remember, like, the reason that there was Obama for America is because Barack Obama had to build his own political apparatus.
Yes.
Because the Democratic Party felt like it was not his turn.
Yes.
So let's just
stifle that wildness
so
in their own party.
Feel how you want to feel about him now, his policies, whatever. I'm not arguing that, but I want history to reflect.
Yeah.
They were not happy. They got on board because he was unstoppable.
Because he had, Yes.
You know what I'm saying? I am not where I was in 2024. And I thank God for that. Because I didn't know what I would be. But the thing I know for sure that I want to be is a brave priest. A brave Oshun priestess that informs my motherhood, that informs my artistry, and everything else that I do.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's where I am now.
Yeah.
That's where I am.
Yeah. I just want to build my own.
Yeah.
That's it.
we
We did it, y'all. So
did it, y'all.
we ain't saying do what you got to do about it. Read it, don't read it, but
I say listen to it
mhm.
as much of it as you can. But the ending is where it's at. All right.
Our final segment, Black Mamas Say, is where we put our own twist on sayings from Black mamas. Our Black Mama Say from this episode is, but what I do know is.
Okay.
Chris is going to go first.
I don't know whether or not y'all are gonna read 107 Days by Kamala Harris. But what I do know is y'all should read Before I Let Go by Kennedy Ryan.
Okay.
You know, people was talking about Kennedy Ryan, and I had heard of her. I'm about to buy all her books.
Really?
I'm about to buy all her books.
What's the premise of the book?
Girl, let me read you this premise, girl. You know, girl.
Does it take us to our Elin Harris days? Is that what?
Girl. Their love was supposed to last forever. But when life delivered blow
Jesus.
after devastating blow, Yasmin and Josiah Wade found that love alone couldn't solve or save everything. It couldn't save their marriage. Yasmin wasn't prepared for how their life fell apart, but she's finally starting to find joy again. She and Josiah have found a new rhythm, co-parenting their 2 kids and running a thriving business together. Yet, like magnets, they're always drawn back to each other, and now they're beginning to wonder if they're truly ready to let go of everything they once had. Soon, one stolen kiss leads to another, and then more. It's hot, girl. You know I love that. It's illicit. It's all good until old wounds reopen. Is it too late for them to find forever? Or could they even be better the second time around?
Some of y'all don't need to read this book. Look at me. Look at me. Me, my eyeline. Me, my eyes. No, bitch. No. Ask someone who has spent the last year with a date coach, getting me out of toxic thought processes. Some of y'all, put down that phone. Don't text. Don't text him. Don't. This is not.
Listen,
this is a
I'm
story.
not going to say.
This is a fictional story.
No,
This is a fictional story.
No. I'm not going to say they don't need to read the book. I'm going to say read the book before you send the text.
I want you to know Crystal is happily married. Ain't been no separation, co-parenting. Ain't been. I want you to know one of us have been through.
It's so good though. Okay, if you don't read this one, read another one of her books. This is so.
I'm not saying this. I said some of y'all. It's some, and you
this
know
is
who
so
you are
good.
because let me tell you how you know who you are. When she started talking about it, you were like, "No, you don't do it." If you did
I disagree.
I'd be thinking that maybe.
I disagree.
You are the
I
one.
should have touched up my lipstick. I disagree.
You are the one.
I disagree.
We'll see how. Call us and let us know how it turns out.
I think you should read it. Kennedy girl.
I'm sure you're amazing, right? It's not personal, Kennedy. I'll read one of your other books, but
you did your thug thizzle. I'm about to buy all your books.
I'll read a different one.
And people have been telling me about. I don't even think this is her latest book. I think there's another book that's her latest book. But people have been telling me about her.
I like the premise of it. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, people have been telling me about her.
There was a time I would have searched it up. There was a time.
People have been telling me about her, but I hadn't. I've been reading a lot of nonfiction. And my son and I often listen to Audible, like on the way to school and all that stuff, whenever my kids are in the car. But I needed something else. I had read Fred's book earlier this year. Mm-hmm. And before I go to bed, I like to read something that brings me some excitement, some joy, some creativity. And so I was like, let me get this book. And Kennedy girl Kennedy, you just thug thizzle. So I don't know if y'all
I'm
gonna
very
read
excited.
107 Days, but what I do know is you better pick you up a Kennedy Ryan book. I
There you
do know
go.
that.
There you go.
I do know that. Yeah.
I don't know, you know, anything about what's going to happen in the political landscape anytime soon. But what I do know is no one has yet to tell me where the fuck is Jill Stein. Does this bitch have a book? How about every single election she's lost? About a new strategy? Like, is there any transformation? Or just if anybody, I think I'm gonna start a hotline. And maybe there'll be sightings like Tupac
Sightings of Jill
sightings.
Stein.
Because no one has yet to ask my question. I've been asking it since the election.
You have. To be fair, you have.
What I do know is nobody has answered that.
That was good, Thea.
Thank you.
You did well.
I don't be trying to start shit, you know? I
I
really
can't
don't.
now. I can't tell on that. I can't tell on that one.
It's a simple question that no one's yet to ask. Kamala Harris has to rehash her whole shit, put it in front of everybody, state her case, and Jill
Correct her
Stein is going to
record.
come back in what is the time? 2.5 years and start collecting a check. I'm not mad at the game. It's
Because
a
you
good
do
game.
like a good hustle.
I love a good hustle. I'm also just asking people who were telling people to do that if you could show me the face of your candidate. Okay. You ready?
I'm ready. I'll start. Okay, we're going to close this out. Follow us on Instagram at Dim Black Mamas Podcast. If you don't want to miss a moment of the magic, sign up for our recently revamped newsletter, The Mothership, which includes reflections on the conversations we've been having, hearing, and we also share a collection plate cause where we'll spotlight causes and initiatives that resonate with our community.
And don't forget to check out our website, www.demblackmamas.com. Dem Black Mamas is a conversation, so our inbox is always open. Send us your thoughts about the show, show us some love, and ask us some questions at magic@demblackmamas.com.
And be sure and to listen and subscribe wherever you get your podcast, including right here on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button and that notification button so you know when an episode drops before you leave here. And don't just listen, share, because sharing is not only caring, sharing is how and why we build community. And in closing, maintain,
Embrace. Was hers abundance? Oh, expect.
Yours.
Expect. My bad.
She don't know her
Do it
own
again.
word.
I was totally thinking about the Keisha's word. I was like, oh my God, what's the Keisha's word again? Okay.
Maintain.
Expect. Abundance. Right. Okay.
Namaste. 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 That's all we got. So we ain't got no more. Thank you, peoples.
Thank you.